to what extent does language create reality? I have extreme fatigue, but when I forgot to think about it, it seems to disappear. I wonder if it actually disappears or only the experience. And sometimes when I move from one room to another, I suddenly get this stunning sense that the idea that I was just in another room doing something else is a total dream. Hey Juna, Juna, that's a nice name in English sounding, Juna. Thanks Juna. Yes, language is the identification, but the identification became energetical, but it started with language. So before humans could think, there was just total freedom. And then the thinking created this idea of subject-object. So subject being me, object being other. And then the energy presented itself. So then it becomes an energetic feeling of being inside the body. And fatigue, I think, often extreme fatigue. So I don't believe in mental illnesses or what our society labels mental illnesses as. I don't even know if I would believe in, well, I don't believe in anything, but I don't know if I even agree with the diagnosis of illnesses in which we say in our society, but particularly mental illnesses. I personally don't believe in it. I believe that it's all to do with the language, so the way that you've been taught to perceive the world, and genetically what you've been passed on to perceive the world, and then that becoming an energetic expression in the body. And those type of thought patterns and the different combinations can create excess thinking, which then creates these chemical reactions in the body and different feelings in the body. And I think extreme fatigue comes from, it fits in with this subject. This is my own personal view, and just see what resonates with you. Don't ever take anyone's words on board unless they resonate with you. That's really important, not just for when listening to me, obviously, not for everybody. Always take on board what resonates with you. My personal view is that extreme fatigue comes from this sense of powerlessness and the sense that you can't do, and your body is unconsciously repeating a story inside itself that it can't do something, it can't do something, it can't do something, and it makes you exhausted. It makes you unable to complete tasks and unable to do things, and it leads to forms of depression as well. And I know that sounds quite extreme, that I would even have the audacity to diagnose something like extreme fatigue, because scientists would say it's a chemical reaction happening in the body, and this, and it's the brain. But I think all of that happens from these thought processes that are going on in the unconscious. And the reason that I'm so convinced about these things, I'm not convinced as in like, another day I might say it's because of something else and I'm talking to someone different, but why I'm convinced that mental illness isn't a real thing is just from my experience of awakening. And my experience with working with people, but particularly my experience of awakening. When I was awakening, I used to go through days of being very exhausted, and that was when there was a lot of emotional tension in me. And then as that passed, and then there was these awakening experiences, then I would feel very energized and alive. And I knew when I was feeling very energized and alive, there wasn't these negative stories running in me that were exhausting me. There was like this sense of wonder and mystery on the human level. And then there was a direct connection to the source. And when I say connection, you can't really be connected to it because you're never separate to it, but it's just like there's no longer this block from the source. So it's like this, the source was everywhere and everything, and on the human level, it felt full of wonder and mystery and possibility. There wasn't something that was saying can't, not, can't, not, can't, not. And still sometimes I can have old thought processes come up where it's like can't or not around certain circumstances, and I know that when they're coming up it makes me very tired. And sometimes I get it from interacting with people that have that. It makes me very tired. If I work, I do one-on-one sessions, and if I work with somebody that's releasing a lot of that, I can often feel very tired after a session.